An oil tanker seized off the coast of Venezuela is heading to a U.S. port. The large tanker known as the Skipper was intercepted on Wednesday during a joint operation by the Coast Guard and the Navy as part of President Trump's effort to ratchet up pressure on the Venezuelan regime. For more on the growing tensions with Venezuela, I want to bring in Margaret Donovan. She's a former attorney for the U.S. Army JAG Corps and a former assistant United States attorney for the United States Attorney's Office District of Connecticut. Margaret, thank you so much for being here. So the warrant and the affidavit authorizing this action remain sealed. Typically, what is the legal justification for a seizure like this?
Sure. So it sounds like that the seizure was based on sanctions that past administrations, I believe the past Trump administration, had in place either on Iran or on Venezuela or both. And so the seizure of a vessel like this, subject to sanctions, in and of itself is not extraordinary. And in fact, I think it's significant in this case that the rule of law appears to have been quite closely followed. The DOJ obtained a warrant from a federal judge, coordinated with interagency partners, and did this all without killing anybody. So in and of itself, I don't think standing alone, this is that extraordinary. It seems to have followed the typical procedures for a seizure. What I think makes it notable is twofold. One, it is the timing of the warrant when it was obtained. Sounds like, according to reports, was maybe 2 weeks ago, which was just about the time that the story broke of the September 2nd strike in that region. And two, the timing of the seizure in general is almost like an exclamation mark at the end of a series of escalating events. But overall, I actually think it's a good thing that we have followed the rule of law, apparently thus far, in seizing the vessel, and we're able to do it without resorting to lethal force. This is probably one of the more strategically informed and more aggressive approaches to dealing with bad actors like Venezuela or Iran.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Thursday the U.S. would seize the oil on the tanker after it goes through a legal process to do so. What does that look like?
So you can seize the tanker itself by getting a seizure warrant, but in order to actually use what you have seized, you need a forfeiture warrant. You need to actually have a judge deem that whatever you seized is forfeitable to the United States. So I suspect that that is what Ms. Leavitt is referring to, that they would need to go through that additional process to do so. Now, it's worth noting that the reports indicate that the oil was Venezuelan oil, but the tanker itself was effectively stateless. As I understand it, it was flying a Guyana flag. The U.S. confirmed that actually this was not Guyanese, and therefore the vessel was more or less stateless, which again provided a colorable legal basis to board a vessel that was not actually formally affiliated with the nation state.
Margaret Donovan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.